Hey everyone, it's Vivi and let's discuss Medieval PS4. I want to start off by saying there's obvious lack of marketing for this game. No one knows if Sony is planning on doing a marketing extravaganza before Halloween, but for now, it's quite underwhelming. And gets us worried about the fate of the series. How is this game supposed to sell if you're not doing any sort of marketing? Okay, I guess the only type of marketing I'd say, which I found, are placeholder boxes at some certain GameStop stores. This one was shared by the actual animator herself at Other Ocean Interactive on Twitter. Another person shared posters from GameStop. And as for actual footage and length, we've only had 4 minutes and 22 seconds combined. Yeah. As for latest footage we've received, well, there's a behind the scenes which got posted by the official PlayStation channel on YouTube. We got Mike Mika, Chief Creative Officer, and Jeff Neckbor, if that's how you pronounce it, at Other Ocean Interactive. They discuss a bit about the making of this remake, how they don't want it to be one-to-one copy of the original, they want to recreate what you remember. Then Neckbor goes on to say that they do have access to the source code of the original. Within those files, they realized that the original team had more in mind, but it didn't make the cut in the final product. Like, for example, boss battles. There are some certain states apparently in the codes which weren't featured in the final product. This is the second time they're hinting at extra content being added to Medieval Remake. The first time was in a blog by Sony Interactive producer Nick Accordino back in May. Let me bring it up again. And make no bones about it, even if you're familiar with Dan's first outing, everything you remember, and a lot that you don't, is back in ways that will make your head spin. In addition to a complete graphical overhaul, an improved camera system, and a brand new narrator, brought to life by veteran voice actress Lani Minella, we're adding a whole casket full of secrets to this PlayStation classic that we can't wait for you to dig up. So that right there, folks, 2 hints at extra content in the game. They do bring up talking, to the original team. In fact, Jason Wilson, the voice of Sir Dan and art design leader of the original game, who also goes by the name Jay Gunn on Twitter. Oh, let's not forget about Chris Sorrell, who was director and concept creator of the original game. Back on November 1st, Jay Gunn confirmed that they are consulting the game via a tweet. Other than that, here's what we can gather from the behind-the-scenes video. We have a better look at the stained glass demon boss fight from Hilltop Asylum. The lighting looks much darker and looks nice. The model is a lot closer to the original one from the PS1 game, not Resurrection, which was a reimagining. Looking at this boss and going back to the previous trailer, it looks so much better. The lighting even looks much better, there is a slight difference going on. And with that, we can say that the behind-the-scenes video shows a new build of the game. One memorable location from the first game, the Hall of Heroes. It looks beautiful. We get a glimpse of a gargoyle. They look creepier this time. Some might wonder, will their old voices fit with these new models? I don't see why not. So Vivi, you're implying that they're going to use the same voice from the original? Perhaps. Jeff Neckbar on Twitter back in May did say they have original high-quality recordings. So with that, it's likely they will use the original one for these gargoyles. As for the link to this video behind the scenes, it will be in the description below. Next, if you didn't know, some gaming conventions had playable demos of Medieval. Yup, it explains the lack of marketing. I also had no idea about this until recently. Game XP 2019, which I believe is a game event in Brazil, it happened in later July. You can find video of that. There's 3 things we can gather from this one. It is off-screen, but we can still notice some things. Cemetery Hill gameplay, the frame rate, and the HUD menu. The moonlight lighting looks beautiful, like I have nothing to say. Gameplay looks pretty smooth, as if we're looking at 60 FPS gameplay, which is yet to get confirmed. As for 4K, well, that was confirmed a while back. The HUD menu. It seems they implemented the quick weapon select from the second game. The option to toggle weapons. Using the triangle button this time, it appears. If I'm not mistaken, in the original you had to click L1 and square, so I take it this time you'll have to press L1 and triangle? What do you think? The green bar seems to be the health, and his icon, looking at it right now, it's dynamic. When you take damage, his facial expression changes. The orange gauge appears to be for the shield, the amount of damage it can take. One thing I do hope they change, it's very hard to see the font. The numbers you can't tell, orange on orange, green on green, oof, a bit hard to see. In my last video of Medieval, I showed a tweet made by Jay Gunn, who wished for a Totaku figure of Dan. Well, now it's listed apparently on May 27th, fun fact. Totaku on Twitter made a poll, wondering what you guys would like to see, the original model or the remade model. People voted for either. We'll just have to wait and see what it actually looks like. In other news, there's a pre-order bonus popping up left and right, slowly. Amazon Germany, steel case, looks nice. Portuguese game website, same thing. I mean, it'd be nice if this goes into further regions. If you had no idea about this, well, there you go. Another thing which is pretty big, I'd say. We're all aware, well, should be by now, I think, that Medieval's Digital Deluxe Edition, which is exclusive to the PlayStation Store, by the way, confirmed by blog author Nika Cordino back in May, will have its own digital comic. Well, if you're wondering if this comic will be sold standalone physically, I got some news for you. Back on May 10th, Jay Gunn mentioned that him along with Chris Sorrell have been working on a comic book. A book based on the undead adventures of Dan. I'll reread what he had to share, okay? This was back on May 10th, by the way. To tie in with the release of Sony PlayStation's upcoming remake of Medieval, I can now officially reveal that I've been secretly working on a Medieval comic. Along with fellow Medieval co-creator Chris Sorrell, we set out to tell our version of the events of Galamir's history from a unique and original perspective, with more than a few surprising twists and turns along the way. You will revisit some old friends, alive and dead, as well as see the return of some familiar monsters, as you've never seen them before. We've gone to great lengths to create a fully illustrated and animated story that extends beyond regular comic page panels to create something very unique that features both music and audio. We've poured a lot of the original Medieval spirit, dark nocturnal magic, into crafting a wonderful story for old fans and new. We look forward to having you join us on this brand new adventure into the ghoulish, undying world of Medieval. More details and preview art to come, stay tuned. Fast forward to now. There are two types, as mentioned back in May. The animated one, which is part of the deluxe edition on the PlayStation Store. The illustrated one being the hardcover, which you can now pre-order on Amazon US, Amazon UK, and this website called Book Depository. It's planned to get released on October 29th, 2019. Medieval. The comic prequel tells the story of Sir Daniel Fortesque. After the ending of Medieval 2, traveling back in time, Sir Dan encounters his original living self and re-experiences the events leading up to the legendary battle in which he first lost his life. He must work with some old friends and battle some old foes if he is to save his kingdom and seal his status as the hero of Galamir. There's this one also shared on Twitter by Jay Gunn, which appears to be the back cover if I'm not mistaken. The undead hero of Medieval returns in a thrilling adventure from the original creators of the critically acclaimed video game. After being swept through time and landing in his own past, Sir Daniel Fortesque finds himself teaming up with old friends, including a were-dog and Cockney fairies, in order to once again save the kingdom of Galamir. The evil sorcerer Zarok, I always tend to mispronounce his name, is raising an evil undead army, and Sir Dan is the only one who can ensure his cowardly former self prevails. Delve deep into medieval lore as the secret history of Sir Dan is revealed, and a brand new adventure that ties in directly with the game series begins. The only glimpse of his human self prior to this comic book reveal would be the introduction. As for the secret history of Dan, some might think, well, a question which I've come across, how come Sir Dan doesn't look like a zombie? How come he kept his personality? Did something happen with the spell? What happened? I wonder if that'll ever get explained in the comic. That'd be cool. Finally, the game is rated T by ESRB for North America, just like the original. As for Australia, it's rated M. According to the Australian classification system, it's not recommended for ages under 15 over there. So, other than that folks, this is it for the video. As usual, do your stuff questions or anything like that, and as always, I've been Vivi, and thank you so much for watching.